Hey everybody, this is Childo Gamer. It's been a hot minute since we've done anything on this channel. I just want to apologize. This life gets a little crazy sometime. I know in the past, if you watch my videos, I've been kind of a space dude. I love Star Citizen and I love Elite Dangerous, and Starfield was okay as well. I kind of dig the space genre, but I'm 58 years old, so I remember a great company called Microprose who just absolutely wasted so many of our hours with some of the best games ever made. F-15 Strike Eagle, Railroad Tycoon, Red Storm Rising. Y'all remember that? Silent Service. Great things. Well, back in about, I think I may be wrong, 93 or 94, they took over the Falcon franchise. Now, I've been a Falcon freak for a while. I've flew the original one, Falcon 2, or I guess Falcon AT they called it, Falcon 3.0, and then Falcon 4.0 came out with the dynamic campaign, brought all the modern machines to their knees. We had to upgrade, and it wasn't until about a year after some of the things started coming out that were better hardware that we could actually use it to its full capacity. Well, Microprose went away, and with it Falcon 4, but it always kind of remained one of my favorites. And the other day I saw that Microprose was back, and I said, hey, I think I'll look for Falcon 4, and I found Falcon BMS, which is absolutely amazing. It is a mod of Falcon 4.0. It's just like the original, but with modern enhancements. These guys have done a fan-freaking-tastic job. Also, I'm using GameGlass, and the reason why I've got this video going is, number one, to say hi again, but also to show you guys, if you decide to download my shards, I'm going to make them available on the GameGlass website. It's 3 shards, and it basically lets you not touch your mouse in the game. I like HOTAS, which is hand-on stick, or hand-on throttle and stick, but I don't like HOTASAM, which is hand-on throttle and stick and mouse. So if you're ever in a dogfight or you're trying to do something, you got to grab that mouse to click a button on your MFD or hit a switch for AP or Master Arm or something like that. Man, you don't want to grab your mouse. I don't. And so I said, kind of like Ronco, there's got to be a better way. Well, I found a better way, and it was GameGlass. And I've been a fan of GameGlass with Star Citizen and Elite Dangerous. I'm a dork, so I have two 12-inch iPads. And these shards are built on those 2 iPads. And so they work side by side. I have 2 shards up at the same time, which helps me. But with these, I've also made it to where you have... I guess you'd call them hot or hyperlinks to the other shards if you only have one iPad. But I would suggest getting this. Everything is pretty well modeled in these shards that you need to fly and fight, get the thing going. And so what we're going to do here is that we're going to do a ramp start, which basically means it's a cold F-16. Nothing's on. It's just a plane and you're in it. And so we're going to go with that, and I'm going to go ahead and overlay some of the shard activity that we're going to be having. So let's get started. All right, so we'll go to tactical engagement and ground ops, which will put us into where we need to be in regard to doing a ramp start. Okay, if you're new to Falcon 4.0 or BMS, the F-16 has a data cartridge that it uses to load data that it needs to have in order to do its comms and have its IFF, which is identify friend or foe. And so what you do is before every mission, you can do the briefing and the loadout. We really don't care about that, but you want that data cartridge, and you want to do comm. And you want to click comm plan. They call this the click dance. And you go IFF, and you want to do IFF plan. when you start doing harm missiles and things like that, AGM harms and things, you'll do the targets things. So, and save. And you'll see a little message that says saved okay. And we're ready for the flight. And I'm going to try to sync my using my shards with the video that you see. Now, if you see me use the mouse to direct anything, well, that's just me showing you with a cursor what I'm doing. I'm not clicking on the mouse at all. The only thing I usually have to do is redo my zoom and my zoom out with the mouse wheel. But I'm going to use voice attack to change that later on. I'm also using voice attack, which is a great program for voice commands. Alright, so we're in our cold dark jet. We're going to get rid of the pilot here so we can see what we're doing. And we are going to go to the left panel. And we're going to... Oop, it heard me. There it goes. Zoom. Zoom. Alright, so this is where we're going to start. Click. Click. Alright, so we have got the shard here. This is my panel shard, and you'll see if you look, it shows external lighting, IFF, fuel on the game, and you'll see on the shard it shows those same things plus audio. Alright, so what we'll do first is we got to make sure that our landing or our external lighting is set up. So we take the form button and we take it all the way up. We go to the master and we take it all the way to normal. And we take our anti-collision, we do it 1. And then we say, let's do a flash on our wingtail lights. Next thing we go up to is IFF. And the only thing you really need to mess with on this is to put this guy right now in standby. And make sure that this guy here is in backup. We go up to fuel. And we need to do the fuel because we need to make sure that our fuel is going to be flowing into the tanks. And so we put that on norm. So we just click that guy right there. That puts it on norm. And then we'll start with our comms next. Right panel. And we'll zoom out. And so we want to turn our comms on. Get them good and loud. And if you want to open up your missile alarm a little bit with volume, you can. Go ahead and turn on your ILS. That's all the way. Then you go up to your right of the audio here and click on your audio. Make sure that's on both. And now we're ready to take down the canopy. Click. And now we're on our other shard here, which is over to the left. So the first thing we're going to do there is we're going to hit our battery, turn on our battery, turn on full power, and we're going to hit our canopy button and take our canopy down. That little yellow guy up there at the left right here is called the spider lock, or just a spider, I don't know, just called the spider. So I've got a spider button here on the shard. Boom. Okay, we're back. And so now also with the canopy, with this shard, it has to continue to keep pressing that button for the canopy to go down, because if you just press it once and it's just a once, it takes you 1,000,000 times to actually get the canopy down. But what you have to do now is that the computer's thinking that you're still pressing this button. So you got to hold down the button until you hear the click, right there. And so that releases that button from going down all the time, and get your canopy where it needs to go. All right. Now we're ready to start the F-16. The F-16 is a complicated machine, yet it's kind of old school, and it is kind of analog too. So it's very sensitive. You've got to make sure all your stuff is off because it uses the battery to start, and when the jet fuel finally starts the engine, everything goes on. So the electrical system depends on the engine running. So that's kind of crazy. So we want to start with Start 2, and that is modeled into Shards. So we'll click Start 2, and there's the engine. Now we need to go over here, zoom, and we need to look at the RPM here and the FTIT. The RPM, of course, is the revolutions per minute that the engine is running, and then the FTIT is the internal temperature of the engine in the F-16. We want to get this guy to 25, and then we'll move to what's called the idle detent. Now, I don't have a $500 or $600 joystick and throttle. I don't have a $300 joystick and throttle. I use the HOTAS 1 by Thrustmaster, which is like an Xbox kind of thing, but I don't really use the Xbox. But I just found this. It's cheap. It's 99 bucks. It does what I need it to do. And with the Shard, I have the buttons that I need that my joystick or throttle may not. Okay, so we got that guy pretty much into where we need him. It's about 25. I think that's about as good as it's going to get. All right, so let's go over here, and we'll click on the idle button and watch the throttle. That takes you there. And it looks like it's trying slowly. There it goes. Around 60, the engine will start, and you will see the things start up. Now what we need to do while that's starting, there he goes, front, look down. We can start to turn on our sensor power. Our lights, our air conditioning, very important. That air conditioning is extremely important, because if you don't cool off your instruments, they will overheat. Right panel. And turn on your oxygen, and turn on your avionics. Now the map button is not modeled in the BMS, but it is in DCS, so I created it on the Shard, even though it doesn't run in BMS. Turn on your GPS, your BL, and then take your EGI and put it into normal mode. And that's just one click. And do your de-ice or anti-ice. Have that clicked in. Now, with the plane running now, we can start doing some testing of the systems and things like that. So let me see. That's everything. Now, the way that these knobs work in the Shard. Now you'll see, notice when you click the knobs, it goes up and back. Now, in order to get those back, I have you hold down the press. And you see how that goes. Now, sometimes it kicks off something else, though. And then you hold down the press again. And then it's off now. Sorry about that. And so that's how you do those knobs. If you don't see a down arrow or an up arrow, that's how you do it. You hold those knobs down to make them retract what you just did. Go counterclockwise instead of clockwise. All right. So let's go ahead and front. front. All right, so we can clear out some of these warning lights and the failure lights over to the right here we see. And this is also modeled on the gear panel shard. So all of this right here is modeled on that shard. All of these buttons and controls. And actually including this guy right here and this guy right here. All this right here. So we hit the master caution, turn that off, and we clear out the FAC with that. And now we're stuck with these two warnings, the FLCS and the seat not armed. All right, over here on the gear shard, we go seat not armed, bam, there we go. We got that done. And now we can start with that. First thing we need to do, let's go front again. Front. All right, so now you see we have DTE, and we have, after you click DTE, you'll have a thing that says load. I thought it would be cool to try to mimic the data cartridge here, which you can't do anything with. So I created my own little graphical data cartridge here at the very bottom, this DTC receptacle and the panel shard. So when you click DTC receptacle, you'll have that DTE button press. Yeah. And then you click the load button right next to it, you'll have that load button press there. And so that loads the your data cartridge. I mean, you don't have to do it that way, but I kind of thought it was cool. All right, and once that's loaded up, you got your data in there, you got your comms in there, and we're almost ready to go to the front shard, but not yet. We need to go ahead and do the FLCS test. Left panel, and that's this guy right here that lets us test our flight control system, which are our rudders and our flaps and tail ailerons, I guess they're called. I don't know. Anyway, so we'll start that. We have that modeled on the shard there. And sometimes it fails, and you just have to reset it, and that's modeled on the shard as well. You see how it failed? Click that, and it resets it. Turn that back on, hit the bit again. Bam, there we are. And so that will continue to test. We may be able to see them. Request flyby. No, maybe not. Nah, it doesn't look like it. Front. Sometimes you can see. There we go. Sometimes you can see on the outside what actually is going on. You'll see that they're being tested. Now you'll notice when you get in front of that engine, you'll see the thing go blurry kind of at the top there. That's by design, because that's what will happen in real life. If you're behind a very hot engine, you're going to have those heat blur lines. And so there we are. And let's get back in the cockpit. Front. And that should take care of our stuff for the FLCS. Let's go ahead and FAC that. Yep, that's done. Okay, all our warnings are cleared. Front. Sometimes voice attack, you have to stop talking and then do your command, and it won't. If you just yada 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 and then do your command, it doesn't do it. So next, what we want to do is we want to move over to the ICP panel, and that's this guy right here. Which now, so what you've got now in the, if you've got two iPads, you got all of this that you can control. I haven't done these yet. I may make another shard for that later on. So front, All right, here we go. So what we do now is let's turn on our HUD. Got that going, and let's go down to the gear panel. Zoom. Now we want to go over to the gear panel and zoom. MWS isn't modeled, but we'll turn it on anyway. 01 and 02 aren't needed for this particular F-16, but I'd have modeled them anyway. And you can turn them on if you want. That's chaff and flare. That's your jettison. And this program button is how your chaff and flares are going to be released. I usually do the 2, and then I put the mode on auto. Okay. Next, we'll turn on our threat warning prime on the threat warning auxiliary. Front. And we'll see our RWR come up. And we'll test it. And after we test it, we'll put it into handoff mode, so it will do the diamonds over our targets. All right, that looks good. Gear panel. Now we turn on our HCMS, which is our HUD on the inside of our helmet, so that we can see. We got that. And we'll turn on our taxi lights here also. Front. And now let's get some ground crew stuff going. EPU safety pin. Take that off. And now we're ready to align our HUD with our HCMS. You'll notice how it kind of looks messed up. It doesn't go away when you're looking at your HUD, kind of a thing. So that's what we want to do. Front. Front. All right, so go to your ICP, hit list, and select 0 and RCL. Oh, wait a minute. Let me make sure we're in COM1. Oh, okay. See that says UHF on backup. We got to go back to our panel and hit this guy one more time to put him on regular, and then go back to your ICP panel. All right. So now we'll go to list. And we'll go to select 0. We'll go to R, which you see as HMCS. We'll hit your sequential double button right there. And now we're ready to align. Hit your select 0 again. All right, you'll see the 2 crosshairs there. And so you can kind of try to do it if you're doing VR or you're doing Tobii Eye Tracker or Track IR or something like that. You can do it with that. But I don't use that kind of stuff because it gives me motion sickness. So we will not do that. But I do have some voice attack commands. Align HUD. Front. Align HUD. Front. Align HUD. Front. Front. Align HUD. I guess that's as good as it's going to get. That's okay. And we go ahead. You can press the insert key, or I have a key that begins the alignment, which is insert, or you can use voice attack like I am. Begin alignment. All right. It says align's okay. Let's go ahead and hit your select button again. And now you'll notice that when we go to the HUD now, it disappears. Also, I made something extra in the HMCS place here, where you'll see there's just one knob front on the shard. I created a couple of things, one for HUD color, the other was for the visor. So, you know, you can change your HUD color like that if you need to. Sometimes I like a little more of a light blue for some reason. I don't know why. Green just don't really, kind of like that. That's what I like. And then also your visor as well. Bring your visor down, which I think is a really cool thing that emulates. Okay, I think we're ready to to get on out in the tarmac here. Let's get one more command out of the way. Let's get our chocks off our wheels. Wheel chocks. And that takes that out. All right, good deal. All right, so the last thing we need to do is we need to do nose wheel steering, where we can, well, steer the nose wheel. And that indicator's going to show up right here. Now, I've taken this button right here that's not being used at all, and I've made that the AR NWS button. You'll see that on this shard. That's the gear panel shard. So we'll click that, and you'll see that comes up. All right, and let's go ahead and get Mr. Pilot back in here. It's interesting because, you know, you want to go back as far as you can, because this right here, I mean, a lot of people like to fly like this and play the game like this, but that right there is really not accurate. I'll throw you a picture up of a real F-16 and a real pilot in an F-16 from kind of this position, and you'll see there is not much room in the F-16. And actually, if you see to the left of that picture, you have the spider there, which means that this isn't even going back as far as it does in real life. So if you're a stickler for realism, you want to go ahead and kind of keep that all the way back. Now, I just want to tell you that I'm a horrible pilot. I'm not an expert by any chance. I mean, I like to fly around. I've widowed my wife thousands of times over many different countries. But I love to do this. It's fun. And so I will continue to do some little tutorials, you know, and do that kind of thing for you guys, because I love people who do tutorials, and especially when they're not too crazy and complicated, which I won't be. All right, so now if you'll notice, we have this align warning right here in our HUD. So what we need to do is turn our EGI over to nav. So you'll click on your panels button, and you'll go over here to our EGI and watch the HUD. Okay, turns it over to nav button, go back to your ICP panel, and we are ready to rock and roll here. And now we use the voice commands. Request taxi.
Goblin 2, Singleton, F-16s, request taxi. Good morning, Goblin 2. You are number 1 for departure. Taxi, Papa, Alpha, and hold short, runway 36.
All right, give it a little bit of throttle, and then I take the throttle all the way down. You don't want to do too much. If you do too much, you will, well, the plane will start bucking back and forth, right and left, and then you'll lose your nose wheel steering. You'll have to turn it on again. And if you do it enough, you might, I don't know if you can flip the plane or not, but you can do some damage on it. And damage is definitely modeled in this guy. Now, see, here's one of the reasons why I created the shard. It's daylight, and we don't really need the lights on the console. You see the green lights? So while this is going, I'll go back to panels. I'll click on bright, the PRT primary. I'll turn that off. Go back to ICP panel, and bam, there we go. So you see, that's the reason why I want the shards there. I don't have to go grab a mouse and do all that kind of crap. So
Goblin 2, is there a problem?
No, we'll just chill out, dude. I'm doing a stream here. Anyway, so you want to follow these yellow lines pretty much. That kind of tells you where you're supposed to be going. Now when we get right to the runway, he's going to tell us to switch our radio channel. Right here.
Goblin 2-1, contact tower for takeoff. Switch to 29230.
Now we could do the 29320 by manually, or because we've got the DTE or the data cartridge, we can just hit number 3 on our ICP, and that's this guy right here. Hit number 3 on our ICP and enter, and that will give us the frequency for the tower. But we'll do it through the shard, and we'll hit 3 and enter, and we'll go to COM 1 again, and we'll see that we're in pre-2. Now we're in the right one. Goblin 2, ready for departure.
Goblin 2, Singleton, F-16s, ready for departure.
Goblin 2, Kunsan Tower, wing 320 at 5 knots, runway 36. You are cleared for takeoff.
All right, sweet. So we are clear for takeoff. What we do is we take down our wheel brake, hold that down, and we want to bring our throttle up to where we're at 90 on the RPM. This gauge right here. Okay, hold down your wheel brake. When you're at 90, let go to full burner. When you hit 60 right here, you want to turn your nose wheel steering off, and then you'll have enough wind in the flaps to get you going with just regular steering instead of having a nose wheel steering. Okay, so let's go. We are ready to rock. So hold it down, bring it up to 90. Now you can use your nose wheel steering just a little bit, but not much. Turn that off. At about 175, 180, we lift off, but not too far because you'll scrape the nozzle. Here we go. That's a little far. And we hit the landing gear. You'll see right here that the lights went off.
Goblin 2-1, contact departure.
Okay, departure is number 4 on our ICP. So we'll click here and click that. And we'll go back, make sure we're on number 4. There we are. And we'll get us some altitude. And we'll call in saying that we're airborne. Goblin 2, Falcon is airborne.
Goblin 2, airborne. Singleton, F-16s, 8,000. Goblin 2, Kumasan, departure. Fly heading 360. Resume on navigation.
I love this jet. It's like a freaking rocket. Request flyby. Front. I mean, you can get to 30,000 feet in no time at all. All right. We got this jet turned on, taxied into the air without one mouse click. And that was my goal. So, now that you're in the air and stuff, you're at 30,000, you want to go ahead and turn off your burner because you'll eat gas like nobody's business. Now, the next thing that you can do is work on your steer points, which is the same thing as a waypoint. Ooh, I think I bled the meters there. Sorry about that. But what you can do is use the autopilot, which is pretty rudimentary compared to a lot of autopilots, but will get you altitude hold and steering selection. Now you can go auto on that to where while you're working on other different things, getting things ready, maybe working on your TGP, getting your Mavericks ready, these kinds of things, you can have that happen. While you're doing that, it can be going to your steer points and holding your altitude. So what we do now, you go to your ICP and you hit this return button right here on your Shard, and you'll see how that kind of gives you an overview over here on your DED. And so you see where it says steer point 1. We want to go to steer point 2. So you can increase that there with these buttons here. This guy right here. Also, if you don't like drift from your FPM, you can click this button and that'll center your HUD. But turn it off when you're landing because you want your drift to be accurate so you can tell where your nose is. Okay, so let's go ahead and make this automatic. So you click on steer point 4 button and you hit your sequential button over here on your dauber button right there, which is on the Shard. Bam. And you got auto. So go back to return, and then go to your I can't think what I call it, your gear panel, and hit your steering select and your rolling and your altitude, and it will start going to steer point 2. Hit your AA for air to air, and there's your radar. Now your MFDs are fully functional with this Shard. You'll see them both, and like I said, it is really great if you have 2 iPads. That way you've got this whole thing right here to look at, plus your gear panel. I'll show you a picture of that. It's perfect. But like I said, if you don't have that, then that's fine. You can still use the 3. All right, so we're going to that there, and so we'll get rid of the pilot again. One other thing that I have put in the Shard, it's not in the panel Shard because I didn't have room, but I put it underneath the ICP, and that's the ECM module. That is also modeled here in the Shard. So you can go ahead and click operational right there, and then press your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'll see the things go down, go down, go down, go down, go down. FRM and SPL are not modeled in BMS. And then you can do your 3 XMITs. And I had to make them little buttons and not switches because there's only 2-way switches in GameGlass. So, but we'll put them on 2. And you can click engage, which will turn it on, but it takes a little bit to warm up. If you go to your gear panel, you'll want to make sure, I said gear panel, haha. You'll want to make sure that this is on, and it is, but you can turn it on and off with your Shard there in your gear panel Shard. Front. And the ECM pod may not be loaded on this guy. We can check, the SMS. We can also check the inventory button. Yeah, I don't think we got the ECM pod, so it may not turn on. But anyway, on your MFD, it's your ACE-SD, your TGP, your SMS. All of this is on the Shard. You can swap back and forth like that. Sometimes you have to do SOI, which means sensor of interest. And you'll see if it's got this yellow square around it, then that's the sensor of interest. And that means you can do your cursor to lock on targets and things like that. If you want to change your sensor of interest over to the right MFD, there's this button right here is not modeled. You see it doesn't turn green. It's not modeled in BMS, but I modeled it in my Shard. So you want to go SOI. Let's see here. It's not wanting to do that. Maybe it's because we don't have really anything going on. Well, we have HSD. There we are. Okay, so if it hasn't been reset, then sometimes you'll have to reset that. And then when it's SOI, then you can do the cursor over here on that. When you're doing the Mavericks, you'll have to have both MFDs, and one will have TGP on it, the other will have the Maverick on it, and that's how you'll do all your bore sighting. And man, that's just complicated. I've just learned to do that last night, and we may have a tutorial on that when I get good at it. So that's it, man. This is my shard, or shards. I hope you dig it. I love it. If you don't like it, that's okay. I didn't make them for you. I made them for me, and I just thought I would share them with you. Also, you'll see over on the ICP shard, you have the pull to eject button, and your seats, your seat height and depth, or lower. I've got that also done. Click that, and then you tap it again to stop it. And yeah, so got that done. Also, and your pull to eject, make that soy again, and we'll go ahead and eject and wreck this a gazillion-dollar airplane. Here we go. Hold it down to pull. All right, we're ejected now. Now, because you had to hold that down, again, the computer thinks that you're continuing to hold that down. So you need to double click it, and you hear that click. That means it goes on it. If you don't, here's what happens. If you go to and you hit escape, see, it doesn't let you escape. So you double click, you hit escape, and you're back in the game. And I've got that in voice attack at all. Also, I love to not have to press buttons. So here we go. Exit. End mission. And there we are. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging with me. Hopefully you'll look in GameGlass.gg for my shards. And they may be under Childo Gamer or Tim Jacoby. That's my real name. Anyway, thanks for hanging with me, and thanks for subscribing. If you're not subscribed yet, please do. And I'm just looking to hang out with you guys and to have some fun. God bless. I'll say this because I am a Christian. Jesus is Lord, and He loves you. And if you want to ever talk about anything like that, you hit me up by email. You send me a message here on YouTube, and we'll talk about it. Because none of this means anything without Him. So, all right. Well, God bless. You guys rock. We'll talk to you later.